rhyme it? Do you know how to rhyme it? Oh, please just rhyme it.
Then he really gets into it.
Do you know how to rhyme it? We will be rocking in LA, so let's rhyme it today. Just rhyme it.
Yes.
We are gonna rhyme it. Just rhyme
That's
it.
where he just rammed it.
Everybody rhyme it. We'll be rocking in LA. Say hello to the Rams today and ram it.
I mean, now he's like on his feet.
Ram it.
Wow.
Ram it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Rams Brothers, the pod. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the other host of this show, Nick. And Nick is repping Aaron Donald. He's flexing. He's ready. The defensive line is now bolstered up with Von Miller. You look like you're ready to go, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, man. We're 7-1. If we beat Tennessee, we're 8-1. Last time the Rams were 8-1, they went to the Super Bowl. This Texan game, absolute armchair game, like we thought it would. Rams cover -15. It was a great weekend. And then, you know, you're waking up tweeting from the account like, hey, you know, I think something's going to happen today, guys. And then freaking dynamite drop, blockbuster trade. Rams get Von Miller. It's just great. It's great. It's a great time to be a Rams fan.
It certainly is. It puts me in the mood to have a Golden Road beer. I would go for one of those Rams beers right now. We're looking for a new partner, new sponsor moving forward. We found it. Golden Road Brewery at Golden Road Brew on social. We're still trying to sell these tickets. There are still some tickets left. November 7th, obviously the game coming up on Sunday. Go on LAFBnetwork.com. Go get your tickets. Go get the party bus you guys will be at. Obviously, you'll be at Golden Road Brewery with Nick. Nick will be on stage. I actually don't know if you're going to be on stage, but it's going to be a hell of a time. So get together. Ramley's going to get together. You guys will all be together, and it's going to be an awesome time to get everybody together and enjoy the game. So we'll have some good content. Nick, you'll be running the Instagram account for the day. So we'll be enjoying that.
Yeah, Nick's picks just went off this past week, and in honor of that, we're going to talk about our other sponsor, which is MyBookie. Head to mybookie.ag now. Use promo code LAFB and get in on some of these Knicks picks. That's promo code LAFB. It's a lock. Get your season started with a win. Thank me later. Bet anytime, anywhere, and anything with MyBookie. Nick's picks went 4-1. My dad's picks went 0-2. Yikes!
You had to rub that in. Did my pick?
You gotta listen to me. Gotta listen to me. And I am actually because I know these tickets are going to just be so fun. This party bus is going to be a riot. I'm going to be giving away a ticket on my Twitter. I'll be letting you guys know the information on that. But
nice. If
you tweet #Rayman for Smash, I mean, I don't know if it has the same appeal because Smash is done releasing characters. It may help your cases. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Do it for Nick. Whatever. He's going to need an additional drinking buddy. But now Aaron Donald has one, and so does Leonard Floyd. So does Sebastian Joseph.
These transitions today.
So does A'Shawn Robinson. I am sharp tonight. We've added Von Miller, and I think I'm just in a really good mood because of it. They've acquired Von Miller for a second and third round draft pick in 2022. The Broncos are also paying $9 million of that salary, which is why I tweeted that McSnead is such a madman, evil genius. They also they're only going to be tasked with paying roughly $700K of that salary throughout the rest of the season. Some would say that's roughly an expensive price to pay for 9 games for a rental for Von Miller. And others would say, Nick, do you want to say it?
Yeah, win now.
Oh, the other thing that I was going to say.
Oh, I'm all in.
No, fuck them picks.
Oh, well, there's so many things going around today, and I don't like to curse.
That up for you, dude. Dwayne Wade to LeBron over the shoulder laid that one up, and you blew it. Defensively, the Rams have been solid, right? But they haven't been exactly what we wanted them to be.
They also they haven't been tested in about 3 weeks.
Right. They haven't been tested whatsoever. And their schedule starts to heat up a bit with Tennessee, San Francisco, and Green Bay after the bye. And you could almost argue, that I almost wanted to say that their numbers were inflated because they were playing these inferior teams. And part of the reason why their numbers have crept up into a better category is because they're playing these inferior teams. But again, these late garbage time points by Houston, some points against Seattle, points. I don't think really the Giants added anything. The Texans, or it was the other team they played. The Lions added a little bit to that. But again, their defense hasn't been as well-rounded as we would like them to be, right? And with the schedule heating up, it's time to make a push for the 1 seed. If you're going to do that, you got to do that right now. Their current EPA, they're 9th per drive. They're 21st in success rate and 8th in points per game. So again, they're not as good as they were last year, but they haven't been bad. In terms of pass rush, they rank 18th in pressure rate and 6th in sack rate. So adding a player like Von Miller, who's been 4th in pressure rate over the last 5 years, is certainly going to bring that average up. Also, the pass rush was relentless against Houston. For however much of that game that you caught, I saw them working on stunts in the 4th quarter with Aaron Donald when I was begging for them to take their starters out. So you could argue that's a strength, right? A strength for the Rams, even before acquiring Von Miller, is switching things up, showing a multitude of looks at the line of scrimmage, finding ways to get pressure via the blitz and through matchups. You see Ernest Jones blitz. You see Jalen Ramsey blitz every week, even though some would argue it's unnecessary. And you see Aaron Donald rotating in and trying to get matchups and trying to exploit something he likes. So adding Von Miller is just going to make that strength even better. And you could potentially take your foot off the gas, right? And then with with the blitz and commit to coverage more often, which seemed to be more Brandon Staley's mantra. So tell me what you're feeling initially with the Von Miller trade. Do you feel like that's instantly going to bolster up that defensive line? I know you're wearing the Aaron Donald jersey, so you seem to be repping the line well.
My take from having Von Miller is just that you're going to have somebody there that just on top of Aaron Donald, it's going to be similar to that Ndamukong Suh situation where you don't have to blitz and you're going to bring pressure alone. Like, you can't just double team Donald all the time now because you have somebody else that was Donald kind of before Donald was around, especially on that Broncos team that just really, I mean, that was the reason they won that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning this, Peyton Manning that. That's absolutely Super Bowl MVP right there, Von Miller. And then when you have those two guys on top of Jalen Ramsey, who's just going to take out receivers, like the number one bet, like the number one guy, like a Hopkins or like a Lockett, it's just going to be really hard for, I don't see any team really putting up big numbers on us. It's going to come down to the offense, which has been rolling too. So I love everything about it. I love Von Miller when he was in Denver. Obviously, Denver's always just been like a cool team. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more excited about it. That was the one. I mean, that's a blockbuster Los Angeles move, and it's just beautiful to be a part of that team. That's just about, like, I was very critical of the Goff trade, as everybody knows, but you're bringing in guys that are just absolutely just legends out there, just like already established legends, and it's just going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to why I think McVay and Snead will finally get the praise they deserve after the season's over. But you talked about just the pressure that it takes off Aaron Donald, a superstar on his own, somebody that is leading the league year after year in double, triple team rate. They've been extremely interested in Khalil Mack. They were interested in Khalil Mack back in 2018, according to Adam Schefter, and they made a pitch to acquire him. So they've been wanting a premier edge rusher. In 2018, it was only really Brock and Ebukam. And then 2019, they signed Fowler, and they still had Ebukam. And then 2020, it was obviously Leonard Floyd, Terrell Lewis, Obo, Morgan Fox. And that was kind of the best that they've been. Now, with the addition of Von Miller, it's the most talented edge group that they've had in a long time. I mean, you go back to Leonard Little and Grant Windstrom, Chris Long and Robert Quinn, right? I don't think anything compares just to the overall depth they have at the position. And not to mention, they'll get Justin Hollins potentially back in December as well. So, I mean, you're going to be rotating in guys, weak side, strong side, doesn't matter, right? They can kind of rotate in based on the matchup. Leonard Floyd's been rushing a lot from the weak side, right? So kind of depending on the mismatch, if there's a matchup that Von Miller prefers, right, they could always switch, intertwine, and you can kind of do the same thing on the defensive line with Aaron Donald as he moves around and finds the mismatch that he likes. So, I mean, you're in a situation where now you kind of look a little bit deeper, where you want to look at a team like Dallas, or you want to look at a team like Tampa Bay, right? Dallas has Tyron Smith and Terrence Steele, right? You want to see if there's teams that have two really solid tackles, right, where you could obviously tell that this is going to be an instant upgrade for the Rams. You look at Tampa Bay, Donovan Smith and Tristan Wirfs. Then you look at they're the two teams right now that have 2 tackles graded in the top 20 via PFF. But then you add 2 premier edge rushers. You look at Arizona, DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum. They're both extraordinarily average. And I know they've had injuries, but you can kind of go back and watch the tape, and they're milliseconds away from sacking Kyler Murray like 15 times in that game. So you add Von Miller, it's a mismatch for Arizona. It's a mismatch for Green Bay, right? So those could be 2 games you get in the playoffs, and you're getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray. You're going to make a difference in that game. So
yeah, I mean, just speaking on Arizona for a second, like a lot of people kind of called them like a little bit of like the Los Angeles Lakers. Like they're bringing in all this like old veteran talent, you know what I mean? And they're like putting it on the field, which is a little unprecedented to be doing stuff like that in this kind of league. I mean, obviously that's very much a NBA thing, is to be doing like making those kind of big player moves. What the Rams are doing by bringing in people that are like still at the top of their game and still number one, and then just propelling Stafford to the top MVP right now. It's just it's really hard not to have Super Bowl in your headlights. That's all. And if the team doesn't make it, it's going to be a heartbreaker.
Sure. Similar to like what the Dodgers did this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they got it. Well, last year was really the year because they brought in.
Last year was the year. Well, we coming off of a year where you lose a championship. Look at the struggles that Kansas City Chiefs are going through. I heard Kurt Warner tell this story 15 times this week. We went to the Super Bowl. We lost the Super Bowl. We brought back the same cast of characters. We thought we were going to be really good. We thought our shit didn't stink. And we started the season 0-6. So it's about, you go back and look at 2019, how they struggled. The Rams struggled that year. And even so, they were still 9-17. Right. So they're in a position now where I think they've added a piece. I was actually sitting there with Dad yesterday. We had the family over for Daria's birthday, for my wife's birthday. And I said to Dad, as Von Miller was coming around the edge, if we add him, we're going to the Super Bowl. And all the news broke today, was ready for the news this morning, and it comes out that way. We talked about Leonard Floyd too, right? How he lines up a little bit on the weak side, and depending on his matchup, the flow of the game, he can rotate so-and-so. But he's getting hot, right? So 2 sacks against the Texans, and he's a coach's dream, right? We watched a little bit of him. He's solid against the run. He's solid rushing the passer, and he can make a big play whenever you need him to. So you add Von Miller to that side. So far this season, he has 4.5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits in 7 games. He ranks 15th amongst 59 qualifying edge rushers in pass rush win rate. So that's going to be just enough to take us right over the top. That's the hot take. I know not that hot because you add another star to a bunch of stars, and you're Super Bowl bound. But this is the kind of guy that can do so.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that. I mean, I thought they were the best NFC team, maybe behind Arizona, but now with like a little wonky Kyler, I think they are the best NFC team. It's just they have so much competition. That 1 seed will be highly coveted if they can obtain that. And the whole thing would have to go through Los Angeles at SoFi. I would feel very confident in their ability to do so, to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's just really hard. Like you have teams like the Cowboys with this is such an easy schedule. Tampa Bay also somehow has an impressively easy schedule, and then Green Bay, who you get to face, but their division is also lackluster. Like if the Rams can achieve the 1 seed, I think there's no doubt in my mind that they make it to the Super Bowl because of the gauntlet of teams that they would have to have faced and won to get that.
Yeah, they look like they're poised to be in that position. Obviously, the next couple of weeks will be crucial. That Arizona game is going to be extremely important.
Yeah, it's got to be a big triple circle game.
But one thing they did really well against Tom Brady, and I think they're probably going to continue to do so. Some people may think the opposite direction they're going to go with this defense. I think that they're going to go in one specific direction with the blitz. They blitzed 29.2% of the time so far this season, or ranks 10th overall in the league. But because of the guy that I think Raheem Morris is, that number is going to increase, right? Some could argue you add another pass rusher. You don't have to blitz as much. You could add more to coverage. So theoretically, you think you could drop players like Jalen Ramsey in coverage, right? You don't have to use them to blitz. It's like a video game when you're blitzing Jalen Ramsey. It doesn't make any sense. So that's one thing I think that we're going to continue to monitor, right? If they can continue to increase that blitz rate, the amount of times that they're blitzing, the percentage throughout the entire game, that may be something that just continues to generate that pressure against the quarterback and continues to make players like Tom Brady, who have to sit in the pocket, panic, right? Put them in awkward situations. And guys like Kyler Murray don't allow them to get out of the pocket so quickly. And you got Dak, who's kind of a hybrid guy. Same with Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to be in interesting situations with all these NFC contenders. You have to see how these edge rushers are going to match up with specific tackles, and also how these edge rushers are going to be able to generate pressure on these four guys, because those are going to be the only four really that seem like they're in the mix. So I don't know. Anything to add there, Nick?
Not particularly to that point, but I was just thinking, kind of, it's kind of funny. Great news for us that this news dropped outside of just being Rams fans and having Von Miller, because that Houston game was really, there's not much to talk about. Like we don't really have a game recap because they were just on top for the whole time. They came out fast. They came out hot. Wolford looks like trash, but and special teams is still a concern.
We knew you were dying to say that.
I mean, yeah, no, he did though. I don't even know why he's on.
It's like, it's genuinely amazing that Sean McVay preferred him over Jared Goff. So I would agree with you in that regard that McVay was a little bit crazy there.
Yeah,
but
that never made sense to me. That almost seems like now it almost seems like it was like a spite. Like, I need to show the world I can do this in spite of Goff because he's so bad.
It's exactly right. It spoke to like his desperate need to feel like he has to upgrade the position for his ego.
Yeah,
but for the betterment of the team.
Here's something I want to touch on because it's interesting and it's been annoying to every Rams fan. I've been seeing it all on Twitter because we kind of got close with a certain player's mom, which sounds weird. Yeah. But it's being reported that it's unlikely that the Rams will find a trade destination for DeSean Jackson before the deadline, which I totally understand because I don't know who would really want this guy. He's not happy on a team that is potentially the greatest team in the NFC. And he's old, he's aging, and he's always injured. So I don't know if that relationship can be mended, if he'll be back on the field, if they cut him. I don't know what'll happen there, but it's just it does kind of scare me a little bit. I hope they can mend it because the news came out about Tutu Atwell's injury in Houston, which was extremely unfortunate, and he'll be out for the remainder of the year with a shoulder injury. And there's still a need for a big punt returner unless Sean McVay convinces DeSean to return punch, which could that's the best case scenario, I think. Like,
you get the ball in his hands more often.
Yeah, if that's what he wants, he's proven good at that. So
I think it's really simple, right? I think DeSean came to Sean McVay, who they obviously have a really close relationship going back to Washington, and was like, "Hey, do you think you could trade me? Right? I'm not getting enough touches. I feel like I could have more of the team, blah, blah, blah." McVay says, "Sure, go ahead, shop around, see what you can get." In that situation, though, within 24 hours, Van Jefferson hurts his knee, right? And again, Tutu Atwell hurts his shoulder. Ben Skronik is getting snaps in that game. So a situation where DeSean Jackson probably feels like he can potentially jump right back into the rotation as the fourth wide receiver with no hiccups, right? Especially if Jefferson's kind of nursing a lingering knee injury, or if any of those three guys get banged up, you could mix in DeSean Jackson there. But then at the same time, if he does return punts, I feel like that's ultimate best case scenario for him, because it's really throughout his career, he's been the most explosive and has flashed the most outside of just those long, deep routes that he runs. That's just a way that you can get him involved, and especially in a playoff game where if you're down by 14 points and early on in the first half or even late in the second half and you're trying to get a spark by something, you could throw him out there and get that. So that's what I hope they're going to do with DeSean Jackson. I hope he sat there, reevaluated the situation, and was like, "Hey, maybe 7th round pick, not going to work. The Rams are not going to they're not going to pay his entire salary for the year, the remainder of that salary. Maybe the Rams are trying to get somebody else to assume that salary as well, on top of a pick." So I guess that's how the teams aren't biting.
I'm getting the inkling that, and it's sad to say, but he's not a locker room guy. And this Rams wide receiver core is the most unselfish group I've ever seen, like for a team this good, I should say. And they have been throughout their entire come up. So, this guy's used to being a star. It's just sad because he has been a piece of the success this year. And
that's the frustrating part.
He's been a bailer. Like he's bailed us out of situations. It's like sometimes McVay gets just a little too pass happy, and it's like deep ball to DeSean, and he goes up and he gets that ball. So
he's changed. He could swing momentum in your direction at any moment. And I think that's a big reason why you need him. But at the same time, like earlier on in the season, he was talking about just being a regular contributor, right? And being able to be on a team later in his career, right? And can contribute in a smaller role. Wouldn't you want that? Somebody that's been nursing injuries throughout his entire career. You'd want some kind of a limited role. You can want to contribute and go win a Super Bowl for the first time in your career. I think it's a no-brainer. Like it's very, very strange that mentality is starting to come out. And McVay probably thought, if there's a guy like this in the locker room, he's expendable. So if he's back, he's got to change the attitude. We'll see.
Yeah.
Some other takeaways.
What do you think? Just personally, do you think he's going to come back?
Yeah, I do. Somebody like him, he's so emotional. He's a classic. Throughout the 2000s, we had a lot of like diva receivers that came up, starting with like T.O. and Moss, and DeSean Jackson was kind of like on the back end of those personalities. But he's somebody that could just switch, right? If he's angry with the situation and McVay can talk him off the ledge and say, look, this is how he's one of those guys. If you got to sit him down, you got to kind of hold his hand and say, look, DeSean, this is how we're going to get you involved in the offense. We're going to give you a jet sweep. We're going to give you a pass in this scripted series in the first quarter to get you going. We'll give you a punt return here. And little things like that, I think, are going to bring him back mentally into the locker room. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I just don't think
you think he's out.
Yeah, but like in like a bad way where it's like he's like cut, and they feel.
No, they're not going to cut him because I don't think they're going to eat the money.
Well, I mean, they may want to put somebody else in that roster spot, though.
That's true. It's like,
well,
I don't know.
I mean, practice squad guy, like
you could activate somebody like Ben Skronik as your fourth receiver, right? Or you can activate another defensive back. They can get creative with it. You can activate a third running back. Activate Bryce Perkins in case Stafford has to go out and Wolford has to play it all. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, Wolford's just trash.
One of the things I really liked in the game against
Remember when people last year were like, oh, Wolford could be a starter on his own team. Wolford should start for the Rams. That's one nice thing that has come from this is that people are seeing now that what I saw, that Wolford is no special talent.
you and Wolford, I swear, you guys were at a bar, you'd say some weird shit to him.
I would just be like, you're not that good at quarterback.
And he would be like, dude, I would put you on skates.
Yeah.
Skates.
I'm not a professional quarterback. He should. And you know what? He might not even. Show him the clips for me at SoFi.
He might
bomb after bomb.
He might not even. You're pretty balanced. I was impressed. I don't even know what kind of shoes you were wearing that day, and you kept in them. I was proud. That arm has improved year over year. You've been throwing bombs. But I was one player I was really impressed with. Two players really, Darrell Henderson and Ernest Jones. But Darrell Henderson in this game, it looked very easy for him. Right, it looked like the game is coming to him. The game's starting to slow down to him a little bit. 14 carries, 91 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. His ability to run through the tackles is more apparent week by week, and I've just seen him progress in pass protection. Right, Sosa's clipped a couple plays where he's doubled up in pass protection. He's came up to the line of scrimmage. He's acted essentially as a guard. I just feel like he's a completely different back from when he was a rookie. And the offensive line, Joe Newboom's another player that I want to call out. You almost never knew that Andrew Whitworth was out in that game, which is such an underrated and valuable thing to have on the roster. The fact that you have a competent backup as left tackle in case your 40-year-old Hall of Famer gets banged up in the playoffs and needs some rest. And we talked about players like Jonathan Grenard, too, how they're kind of up and coming for Houston, coming around the edge. And Joe Newboom was able to handle players like that. So we've seen him. We saw him do it last year. We saw him do it again this year. So I was impressed with those two guys on offense. Obviously, Stafford and Kupp. We don't talk about them too much. But Ernest Jones was really good. Everybody was worried about Kenny Young. I was not. I'm going to pause there. I was not worried about Kenny Young. Why was everybody worried about Kenny Young? He was the first player, Ernest Jones,
Why
to
did you
record.
pause?
I don't know. Effect. 9 total tackles, 2 quarterback hits, 1 pass breakup, half a sack, and 1 interception in his first start. First player to ever do that. He also led the Rams in tackles. He's going to be just fine. There's no upgrade that's needed there. He still has the GPS in his head, like we talked about before the season started. I think he's going to be natural. He plays like a veteran. He'll be just fine. I did have Stafford here in the script just about MVP odds. Do you want to jump in on EJ or Stafford?
I took a bet when Stafford was plus 800. I think it was like week 2, or what was like week 3 to be MVP. So I'm feeling pretty good about that right now, considering the line is at, what is it, like plus
600.
Oh, okay. So it's not that much better.
No, but he's second.
And Rams Super Bowl odds went from plus 700 to plus 650 after this Von Miller news dropped. So
yeah, I saw that. I think Buffalo's plus 550 and Tampa's plus 600 and the Rams are plus 650. So the lines kind of all starting to creep in together.
What I really like too is at the beginning of the season, I told everybody to hammer this Rams to make the playoffs at minus 150.
Yeah. Well,
like
the Niners had just as good of odds before the season started in the conference and to win the Super Bowl as the Rams did. So there was some competition. Arizona was like plus 800 to win the division.
Yeah, I know. That was
really the bet.
But I mean, well, we don't know that they may not win the division.
True, but I mean, like just for the sake of the odds.
Right. I agree. But another thing is, and this is something that's kind of been in the back of my brain for a really long time, kind of since we saw Stafford week 1 and I was ready to just sing his praises. The Rams, the last time this ever happened, it was with a Ram. MVP winner and Super Bowl MVP winner were the same. Was Kurt Warner.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chance this year.
Yeah, you got a chance.
We got a chance.
You got a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
So I feel like whoever gets the number 1 seed in the NFC, the quarterback of that team will be the MVP of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not super impressed with Josh Allen yet.
Well, I mean, but he's also I'm not either. He's not coming off a great game, but he's leading plus 250. Like that's a large separation.
That's a bad bet. Unless there's some scripted narrative behind the scene that I don't know about. Some Walter Payton stuff where he's doing like, more like just helping the community in some way, which is great. And I love that. But I mean, plus 250 is way too high.
I thought so too. I just think the separation's too large between him and then Brady and Kyler and Dak and Rodgers. Like it's too much. But Stafford finished this game with 305 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, 21 of 32 completions. The one thing I wanted to call out, how he looks pissed off when he makes a bad play. When you go 21 of 32, but they've been talking about getting him in a better rhythm. He knows he's a streaky guy. He knows he's been a streaky quarterback throughout his career, and he'll have 2-3 series throughout the stretch of a game where he doesn't look that great. So he's trying to mitigate those mistakes within those couple of series. He did a pretty good job of it in this game. There were still a couple of moments, though, where he's still trying to figure it out a little bit. But again, it's 22 touchdown passes. He's just shy of 2,500 yards. He only has 4 interceptions. He's hardly been touched going into the second half of the season. So I like his chances. I just, for whatever reason, if the Rams do get that number 1 seed and they come out of the NFC on top, I think he's going to be the MVP. So,
yeah, I would think so too. The only thing, it's just that monkey on the back where it's just like, and if you have a bye, it's kind of already feels like a playoff win, but you got to get that first playoff win. Yeah,
you do. That's it. You're so right. Whether it's a wild card game or a divisional round, everything after that you'll be able to breathe a little bit better. But
yeah,
until that point, it's gonna the amount of stress. I get stressed out with fantasy football. I get also 15 times more stressed out watching a Rams game, and I haven't been over the last couple of weeks. But a playoff game with Matthew Stafford the first time is going to be extremely stressful.
I don't think the Saints are good enough to win that division. I think Tampa's going to win, but that win over Tampa is a little scary because then you have the off chance of facing a wild card Bucks team again.
Right.
Even though they would probably be the 6 and not the 7.
Yeah.
Well, it just
seeding's funky right now.
Yeah, seeding's funky. It would be whatever the lowest seed is if they have the bye. And it would probably be a wild card Tampa. And I just wouldn't want to face Tom Brady.
That's a good point.
Until I absolutely have to,
Right. Yeah, you don't want to get Tampa on the road again. If they've already won a road game, they're going to do it all over again, right? It'd be disgusting. The one thing that I just wanted to close out with, and this is something that Jordan Rodriguez talked about, right? It's been kind of a compilation of things throughout the years, right? So many different moving pieces with McVay and Snead, and obviously some things haven't been perfect, right, Nick? To your argument, always they make mistakes, maybe to the betterment of the team overall, but not to the betterment of the locker room, to the fans. But what they're doing right now is completely revolutionary to the league, and you're just kind of sitting back, getting comfortable. It seems like I'm going to need you to chime in here at some point.
I'm ready.
But McVay is now the youngest head coach since the history of pro football started to win 50 games. He's 43-0 when leading at halftime. So Jordan wrote an incredible piece. I talked about how they've made huge moves like Ramsey, Stafford, Von Miller, and have built around core contracts like Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Robert Woods, and Andrew Whitworth. And then to complement all of it with a ton of smaller moves or role players who they draft and develop. They're not necessarily looking for complete players in every pick, but complementary traits that will help the team and can be eventually used and hopefully used to develop a specific player into a complete contributor. And then they can ship them off if they want, or they can re-sign them. But when that player is developed, like I said, they could either turn into a core contract or they can just kind of help us to get another comp pick. The argument always is that they have no top picks. But when you're good, late first round picks don't really matter that much anyway. They're the masters at the comp pick formula. So every single member on the Rams staff, I feel like, has some kind of degree in comp pick formula. They have 4 more coming up this year. This is going to be the template, I feel like, that's going to be used by lazy coaches and GMs for the next 20 years. And it'll never be as well executed as the Rams are doing it right now. I promise you that. If the Rams win the Super Bowl this year, I promise you that they will start talking about Les Snead and Sean McVay like they do Billy Beane and the Oakland A's of Moneyball. What they're doing with these contracts, the way they're developing players, bringing in complementary traits through the draft, signing players to core contracts, going top heavy, trading away top picks, all of these things are so revolutionary and unique to the league that it's blowing people's minds to the fact that they just want to go against it whenever they see the Rams have traded a pick. Like, it's almost a joke now, to the point where the Rams are never going to have a draft pick. The Rams are averaging 9 draft picks per year under Snead and McVay.
But look at people aren't understanding the late round guys that they have been getting, like Henderson and Akers.
Yep.
Those are both people were talking about Cam Akers like rookie, he was getting really early talks of offensive player of the year.
Yep.
So I don't want to. I love who they draft, and they make really good decisions. They're a little too offensive,
offensive focused.
Yeah,
you can criticize the 2-2 pick, sure.
They want to get their grubby hands on as many weapons as possible, which I understand, but sometimes it's like, okay, let's get an offensive lineman. But everything they've been doing.
But again, look at the offensive line. Noteboom was a late pick. Brian Allen was a late pick.
It's so easy for someone to be like, oh, well, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year or next year, they're screwed. And it's like, yeah, bro, 1 of 32 teams wins.
Right.
Is that how many teams there are? Is it 32? It's 32.
Yeah. Yes. It's impossible to win the Super Bowl.
It's like, what an easy take, bro. What an easy, you're not putting anything on the line. It's just so lazy.
Well, they've done such an incredible job, especially to this point where you could move around picks. You could move around players. You could eat dead money. You could work your way around the salary cap. You could probably talk for another 20 minutes about how they manipulated the salary cap when so many people have doubted when you go cap heavy, you eat all this dead money over the years, you're eventually going to be in purgatory, right? You're never going to have a top pick. You're never going to get a quarterback. And some of these moves have been mistakes. I think eating all the dead money of Brandon Cook signing into that contract, the Todd Gurley contract, the Jared Goff contract, those are all things that were mistakes. But the fact that you can kind of maneuver around some of these deals, restructure Havenstein, move on from Kenny Young, bring in and trade for Von Miller, right? They're ready to rebound at all times. And I just appreciate a franchise that is as relentless and is as desperate to bring a Super Bowl home to Los Angeles as the Rams are.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful. It's admirable. It's honorable. It's just it's truly, we're here to win.
yeah.
And they think they have the pieces that are good enough to do it. And I agree.
Yeah, I think there's like a 20-year layover when a team wins a Super Bowl. And on that 20th year, you're like, all right, it's time to win again, right? Like in 2018, it felt like it was time for us to maybe get another shot and win again. But that time goes by very, very slowly when you don't have the right people in place. So I just feel like between the McVay hire, Snead didn't start off so hot, right? His first pick ever was Tavon Austin, was paired up with Jeff Fisher for 3 years. So, it's just been a remarkable turnaround. So the fact that they're in the position that they are right now, you bring in Von Miller, and it felt like they're at a time where they need to add one more piece and they can get over the top. And maybe we just kind of wait around and see if they can add somebody else before the deadline, maybe a special teams player, maybe another defensive back that could also return kicks. But I think outside of that, this roster is going to be pretty much set in stone. And they're going to be poised to go win out the next 9 games, and try to go win a Super Bowl.
So here's my take, right? I know we play Texans next week. They got Adrian Peterson. Or this week. We'll talk about that in the Thursday podcast, right?
Yeah.
That the following game, Monday night against San Francisco.
Is it in San Francisco?
I believe so. The Rams are going to annihilate that team.
Oh, that's going to be something that we've been waiting for a long time.
Rams minus 14 is what I'm saying right now.
I would keep it under 10 just because it's a divisional game if I'm a bookmaker.
No. I'm saying take alternative spread Rams minus 14 now if you can find it, because I just think I like that will be, especially because it's prime time. Yeah, I mean, Titans is prime time too, but I don't know if Von Miller is going to be rolling like that yet. This is a team that that has kind of had their number for a long time, and I just foresee the Rams just stomping on that San Francisco team.
Mm-hmm. That would be certainly nice, but I feel like that makes the Titans game a must-win too, because
the Titans game I'm a little weary of, just because Titans are really hot, and I feel like everybody performs up when a huge guy is out and Henry is out. So I'm not I think that's going to be a tricky game. Yeah. AFC games are always just kind of weird too. So that's probably not even going to be in my picks, because Rams are like minus 7.5 and
no, I actually think that line's a little bit too big.
Yeah, it's like minus 348 money line. So yeah, I'm not even going to touch that.
I saw it at 280. It went all the way up to 348.
I saw it open at like 348.
Oh,
yeah. God. I know. So maybe some money was coming in and it moved, but yeah. I couldn't be happier with the direction of this team. I was somebody who's very critical of McVay and Snead this offseason, and I'm happy that they're proving me wrong, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's they kind of had to prove themselves wrong too. It wasn't just you and I. It was the fact that they went all the way to the top. They got so close and they weren't able to do it. So you have to be able to kind of tinker with that stuff, right? The fact that they bring in analytics people to draft some of these developmental talents that can be individual contributors, their core contracts. I think other stars like playing with other stars, right? You got to imagine that Aaron Donald is just as hype as Jalen Ramsey is for Von Miller, right? That's you saw Jalen Ramsey on Instagram today, how excited he was. You could tell he was like waiting for that pin to drop. So get that kind of excitement out of players. The fans feel it as well. It's just a really good time to be a fan. I'm trying to soak it all in. And I think within this podcast, I think we did, because we brought up Super Bowl 50 times. But again, it's too soon to be talking about the Super Bowl. But at the same time, when your team feels like they're geared, you have a feeling about halfway through the season that they're they're poised to do so. So I think we're starting to get that little feeling, and it's not just the feeling because we're a Rams fan. I think just overall evaluation of the league, the NFC, they have a good shot. So
yeah.
Anything
And
else?
I had a huge parlay tonight. Sixers Chiefs.
Oh my God. Disgusting.
Disgusting parlay. It was, I had it in when it was like minus 210, and then they said Tobias and Joel are out. So
The Sixers
Sixers
win?
Chiefs, it was like 300 to win like 250, right?
Mhm.
And then they came out 4 minutes before the game, canceled that. Sixers were then plus 175 with like a bunch of bench guys, Danny Green and Seth, against the Blazers. And I just rolled it again, and it was like 350 to win like 600. So that Chiefs game was killing me, but Sixers and Chiefs did work for me tonight. So
Oh, so that's
Nick's
why.
picks are just doing really good this year. I don't know what else to say.
you're-
You guys got to listen to me.
Yeah. I guess I got to start listening if I want some extra money.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, maybe. All right, guys. We will
My
talk to you in a
bookie,
couple days.
my bookie, LAFB.
Yeah, mybookie.ag, not .com. Mybookie.ag.
And then
LAFB promo code. Sign up. Get your promo. Get going. Get
have a
betting.
little Goldenrod Brewery, Rams House beer, and fight on, gang.
Yes, sir.
Horns up.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Peace.